Welcome to the 2013 World 8-Ball Pool Championships here in Blackpool. The Imperial Hotel is once again the venue, playing host to the best pool players from around the globe, all vying for the chance to take home a world title. Coming up on this week's show, we have highlights coverage of the ladies' final, as the #1 seed and two-time world champion Emma Cunningham goes head-to-head with the #2 seed and long-serving England international Barbara Taylor. World Trick Shot champion Steve Daking will be on hand to showcase his award-winning skills and tell us about some World Championship shots you might want to try down your local. And in the coming weeks, we'll see the very best pool action from the men's singles and team event. Guaranteed excitement, and for the winners, the honour of being crowned a world champion. The sport is going from strength to strength as the Federation looks to continue promoting the game worldwide, as President of the World 8-Ball Pool Federation, Joe Fanto, explains.
This year's been excellent. We've had approximately 16 countries, either teams or individuals, represented here. It's important to try and reach out to all those countries where they're playing pool and give them that opportunity to play against the top players in the world. We have representation from India, from Europe, also we have South Africa, and of course the furthest are Australia. That's the beauty of our sport, that we're trying to tap into anybody around the world that plays our game and give them the opportunity to play against the best in the world and wear their national colours and take the pride of representing their country. Playing at the World Championships is the epitome of the sport. It's our role to put on a championship which every player around the world can achieve that dream of calling themselves either world champion or world champion team.
Time now for the ladies' final, featuring the #1 and 2 seeds at this year's event. First up, it's Barbara Taylor, a pillar of the all-conquering England ladies team. Seeded #2 for this year's tournament, the former professional footballer has been working her way up the rankings and is keen to take the spoils at this year's championships.
This is my 16th year at the World Championships. I think there's the social element. Obviously we get to meet the best players from all over the world. I think the challenge, you want to pit yourself against the best and you want to be the best, and hopefully that's what I'll do in the final.
Next up, Emma Cunningham, the two-time world champion from Northern Ireland, is unsurprisingly #1 seed here in Blackpool. This year's hot favourite, though, is searching for an impressive third title.
We do know each other quite well. We used to play together, so I know that, you know, if the balls come out for her, then she can clear up just like I can. I just hope that the pool gods are looking down on me, because I really want it badly this year.
Time then to get to the action, and first up it's the lag to get things underway. First blood to Barbara Taylor, and Barbara to break in frame 1 of the Women's World Championship Final 2013. Cunningham v Taylor, Northern Ireland versus England, and your commentators for this match, Mark Shepherd and Dave Hendon.
Barbara Taylor, runner-up in the World Championship in 2008, and Emma Cunningham, the champion in 2005 and 2011, but who will come out on top this year? I think, Mark, it's important for Barbara Taylor to settle in as quickly as she can.
Definitely. It's been a long road to this final. As you say, she was runner-up 5 years ago, but it's taken her a long time to get back here. Knows this is probably the best opportunity she's going to have. Emma Cunningham, for the first time, the favourite since Sue Thompson's retirement last year.
30 seconds.
Well, it struggled in, but it went in. So Barbara Taylor does indeed have the first chance in this final. First to 8 will become champion.
This actually isn't a bad opportunity. The yellow ball's reasonably well spread here. Really important to get her nose ahead. If she could just clear these up, it would give her so much confidence.
Yes, there are bound to be nerves on both sides, but particularly, of course, for Taylor, 5 years since she was last in the final, and still, of course, looking for her first world title.
It's one of those things that definitely gets harder over the years. If you win the first time you're in the final, often you end up winning several more after that. But if you don't capitalise on the early chances, each successive one becomes harder. Just a bit careless there, she's caught the first yellow on her way through, that's why she missed the second one.
So Emma Cunningham, as I say, will also be nervous. It's a world final after all, but she knows she can strike an early blow here if she can take advantage of that slip up.
This is a slightly different position for Emma to be in. She's already won 2 world titles and has been ranked very highly in all the finals she's been in. But typically she's been playing Sue Thompson, who's been by far the greatest champion of the modern era, and often she's started second favourite for the match. Whereas this time, she knows completely it's hers to win.
And of course in Q Sports, there's nothing you can do when you're sat in your chair watching. Taylor's had her chance in this opening frame. Will she get another one?
Just fallen a bit awkwardly for Emma Cunningham. She wanted a slightly easier opportunity for her first visit to the table. Still looks really composed though. You see Barbara Taylor slightly slumped in her seat. You can see etched on her face she knows how likely it is Emma will clear up. That's not bad. I think if she can just take this one down the right hand side of the table, get the white back into the middle, then she'll be in perfect position again.
And it's got to make a difference that she has won it before. She's won it twice before. She knows she can do it. Still pressure, but maybe not as much as there is on Barbara Taylor.
No, I think that's right. She's in a way got a lot less to lose. She's already won it a couple of times. She's been in several finals. Although she's desperately going to want to win, it wouldn't be the end of the world if she didn't. Whereas for Barbara Taylor, this would be the culmination of a lot of other achievements. Sure, she must desperately want to add this one to her CV.
Well, she had a chance. She had the first chance in this opening frame, but that miss has let Emma Cunningham in and just 2 balls away from securing it. This has been a great contribution. Exactly the start that Emma Cunningham wanted. First blood to Northern Ireland in the final. Emma Cunningham leads 1-0. I'm sure Emma Cunningham delighted with the start, not just winning the first frame, but how she won it. She needed one chance, took out the clearance.
Slightly tame break, and usually for the top player she's using a separate breaking cue. You would think there would be quite a logic in doing that. A lot of players in 9-ball pool use a separate cue, but you don't see many people doing that in this game. Didn't really get enough power into the pack though. Barbara Taylor's likely to prefer the reds here. Still that cluster near her left hand that she's just working out how to negotiate.
She had a good win mark, didn't she, in the semi-finals against Lynette Horsburgh, which will give her a lot of confidence coming into the final.
Yeah, I was watching that match. Lynette played very well, as she had done in all the previous matches, and I think most people watching strongly fancy Lynette to get through to this final. Great comeback from Barbara Taylor to win 7-6 at the end. Slightly underdone that. She was trying to play with a lot of topspin to get off the baulk cushion and the left hand side cushion. Left herself somewhat in no man's land. Still doesn't look completely settled, Dave. She's looking nervously at the table, although she doesn't quite know what shot to play.
Yes, she needs a frame on the board, doesn't she, to settle herself. Did have that chance in the first, but one mistake cost her the frame in the end.
And it's easy to forget just how different this is. All these players tend to look very composed when you see them on television, but this really isn't a very natural surrounding for them. You play a lot of rounds in front of big rowdy crowds, but not kind of like this. It's normally in a multi-table setup where there's lots of other things going on. Here, these two are absolutely the focus.
Just felt she needed something a little easier than this. Just got a little awkward, that break, and it has come to an end.
Not the worst thing, covering the bottom left-hand corner pocket with that red. She always knew that if she did miss, she was going to leave Emma in a difficult position.
So the safety game being implemented as both players look for that vital advantage. More action to come here on Sky Sports after the break. Welcome back to the World 8-Ball Pool Championships here in Blackpool. Let's get back to the action with your commentators Mark Shepherd and Dave Hendon.
Quite a lengthy second frame in progress.
Probably no bad thing for Barbara Taylor actually, getting a bit of time to get acclimatised to the arena. The position of the balls, Emma isn't going to clear up any time soon, so at least she knows she's going to get a few shots to sort herself out.
Yes, and one thing Taylor does have on her side is experience. She's the senior by 13 years here.
She's made very good use of those years as well. She's won a lot of titles. 2003 European champion, twice English national champion, and a multiple world champion in the team event. The only thing missing from that is the title in prospect now, the individual ladies world title. Reasonably comfortable position for Taylor at the table here. She's got the bottom two pockets covered. Priority now is going to be to try to develop the other two red balls.
Foul. 2 visits.
See from the way she's looking at that, she thinks the ball rolled off. She was trying to hit the red obviously on the way down the table, but feels it drifted off slightly to the right.
30 seconds.
One saving grace for Barbara, if you can call it that, is that she's still not left Emma in the most straightforward position. Although she's got 2 shots.
Second visit.
The fact she hasn't been able to use the first one means she's still not going to be able to clear up here. Got to be fairly careful with this safety shot that she's about to play as well. The likelihood that she's going to leave Barbara a shot at the reds on one side or other of the table. She doesn't get the white nicely safe.
30 seconds.
That's why she's decided it's worth potting one ball first. I don't think she's seriously thinking of clearing up in one visit, although the reds are in such an open position she may feel that that is the only option. If she could cannon into the 2 yellows near the bottom left-hand corner of the table here, whilst potting this one into the right middle, would leave herself a half chance of a clearance.
Yes, and I spoke of Taylor's experience, but Emma Cunningham first won the world title when she was a teenager, so she's got a lot of years under her belt for a 26-year-old.
Yeah, she's been an exceptional player from day one. She did really well on her first World Championships. And it only took her a couple of years before she got the first title on the board in 2005. Since then, she's been one of the dominant forces in the game.
30 seconds.
Tactics, of course, so important in this game, but there's not a lot of time to think things through, and the extra pressure of being out there in the arena with all the people watching, with the television cameras as well, doesn't always make for clear thinking.
No, this is a position where you need a bit of time to think it through. I think she needs to try and screw back somewhere near the cluster in the middle of the table. She's got to get back to near where her right hand is at the moment. I have to say, when she came to the table here, I wasn't even sure she'd attempt a clearance, but having decided to go for one, she's made a very good attempt so far. She can now drop this yellow into the right-hand middle. Just needs to try and get back for the last one on the left-hand side of the table. That really is an extremely good shot. Raising the butt of the cue like that to screw back made it all the more difficult. You see the last yellow going. Went absolutely nowhere. She's pulled out a world-class clearance here.
Yes, a different frame to the first one. It's been much longer. Barbara Taylor's had a lot of table time, but if this goes in, it will have gone the same way. It will have gone to Emma Cunningham. And it is in. What a great clearance from Emma Cunningham. Terrific stuff. She leads the final 2-0.
Cunningham up 2 frames to 0 then. Taylor needs to make a move, and it was Barbara to break in the 3rd frame. A good start from Taylor, potting off the break, and she began to find her groove. Until that is, a sloppy positional shot left her with a tough red. The miss, and Cunningham handed the initiative. The player from Northern Ireland duly accepted the invitation and finished in style for a 3-0 lead. Into frame 4, and Taylor had another opportunity to get an all-important frame on the board, but again let the opportunity slip by when she overcut this yellow from distance. They just weren't dropping for Barbara, and Emma was looking to increase her advantage with more silky potting, right up to the 8 ball that is. Could Taylor finally capitalise on a rare mistake from the #1 seed? No, she couldn't, and the reaction said it all. Leaving Cunningham with a simple finish to increase her lead to 4 frames to 0. Frame 5, and Emma Cunningham was in control from the get-go. With a nice spread on the red ball, she was in good rhythm and potting well. The former world champion looked determined to regain her crown and couldn't have made a better start. Barbara Taylor left with it all to do and struggling to make an impression on this World Championship final here in Blackpool. Cunningham then leads Taylor 5 frames to 0 as we hand you back to our commentators Mark Shepherd and Dave Hendon.
Well, if the comeback is to start, it's really got to start here. 5-0. It's a one-sided final so far. Not impossible for Barbara Taylor to get back into it, but you really feel it's got to start sooner rather than later.
Must be such a lonely feeling out there for Barbara Taylor. She's a much, much better player than we've seen evidence of so far. She has a little smile to herself. I think she knows that she hasn't yet had the chance to show off how good she can be.
Yes, she mustn't feel though that it's over already. As long as they're still out there, she's still got a chance. We must try and apply a bit of pressure to Emma Cunningham.
30 seconds.
She played well to get to the final.
Sometimes it's all about taking your chances. Normally, however well your opponent's playing, they will give you a chance at some point. It's just what you do with it. If she can take this yellow into the bottom left-hand corner pocket, that will remove one of the major difficulties. Still just doesn't look completely confident. That was a decent enough shot. Okay, the position isn't quite where she wanted it, but I don't think she needs to be shaking her head. She's still in control of this frame.
Well, the key is don't go looking for problems, because if you look long enough, you'll find them.
Taylor not making easy work of this frame. Can she recover? We'll find out after the break, right here on Sky Sports. Welcome back to the Ladies 8-Ball Pool World Championship final. Before we get back to the action, let's hear from World Trick Shot Champion Steve Daking with his take on the break. It's Masterclass time.
The theme of this year's Masterclass features is to give you some of the techniques that the top players use that you can use in the local pub. So, today we're going to look at the break shot, and the break shot is very important in the arena here, and it is very important in the pub as well. So how do you get a good break? Well, there are a few things that you want to avoid. You certainly want to avoid the white going off, you want to avoid the white going off the table, you want to avoid breaking the balls up really well and leaving your opponent a chance to clear the table. You're aiming to pot a ball, but that's a bit of luck. How you do that is by getting a lot of power into the pack, but that power needs to be accurate as well, because if you don't hit the head ball in the middle, then most of that power is wasted because the cue ball runs around. So you need to be accurate and get some power in. And for that, you need to develop your own breaking stance, okay? This is the only shot where you need to hit a ball this hard. So this is why you can tinker with the stance and play around a little bit to find something to give you a bit more power. An easy way to start with that is to get the foot a little bit further forward, bring your grip hand further forward, and basically move the whole thing closer to the table. Then that should give you some room to be able to push that cue all the way through with the break. Because the power doesn't just come when you hit the cue ball, you push through the cue ball instead, and it builds up the power until it accelerates away and into the pack. And that is how you get all the power into the cue ball all the way down the table. Okay, so let's have a go at that. Wow. And there we go. That would be a good break here, and that would be a good break in the pub as well.
We'll be hearing more from Steve as the series goes on. Back to the action now, and Emma Cunningham has some defensive work to do. Your commentators are Mark Shepherd and Dave Hendon.
Well, it's a chance for 6-0, and remember, it's only first to 8 that wins this World Championship.
It's a frame that Barbara Taylor badly needs to win, but at the moment it looks like Emma Cunningham's going to be the one that comes out on top. Two comparatively simple shots here. The difficulty is just going to be getting good position on the black. Faced with a choice here, she can either guarantee potting the red and play it relatively slowly, but knowing that she'll leave a long black, or she can try and put a bit more pace into this, try and get the cue ball into the middle of the table. Decided to try to get better position, which in fact she didn't really do either, and has paid the price in terms of missing the red.
So a chance then for Barbara Taylor. A dream, of course, to be in the final. It's been a nightmare so far, but that miss there from Emma Cunningham, and there is a chance now for Taylor to win her first frame.
And that's a nicely struck shot. You can imagine she could have thrown her arm at that, given the pressure she's under. She's cued that nice and smoothly. Just needs to drop this yellow in, leave herself a longish straight black. Now, ordinarily, hard to imagine her missing that. She hasn't missed many of these along the route to the final, but none have been as important as this one.
This for her first frame. Oh dear. Well, as you say, that little bit of extra pressure has contributed to Barbara Taylor missing it, and things are going from bad to worse for her. That's not a smile, it's a grimace.
And this isn't a happy position for either player. None of them like to get into these scrappy frames. This shot not quite as easy as it looks, but certainly one that you'd expect Emma to pot. And that's a bad miss. She's got right into that. She's hit it far too straight and pushed it into the cushion.
Well, you couldn't ask for an easier pot than this, could you, to win a frame? She'll be delighted. It wasn't the greatest standard, that frame, but she's got one on the board. But she still trails here, 5-1.
Barbara trails by 1.5 frames. Time running.
Well, it's not going to be a whitewash. And who knows, maybe winning that frame might just spur Barbara Taylor on here.
Already that's looking a lot more promising. 2 yellows ball potted off the break.
Red balls nominated.
Here there, she's nominated the red balls, although you might think it would be easier to take the yellows as she's already potted 2 of them. The reds are in an easier position. There's a yellow tied up on the right hand side, and there's also not much of an easy starting ball. That's why she's taken the reds.
Well, she knows she's a better player than she's managed to show us so far in the final. The key words there, so far. It's not over yet. And she does just seem a little more fired up now.
Even just in the space of 2 shots, she just looks so much more purposeful. She looks really focused on the table. Far more confident demeanour. You get the feeling that she's actually going to pot the ball rather than tentatively hoping that it might go in. And there we see, that's a great shot. She's made that look fairly easy, but that was actually difficult with the reds that far apart.
Could have been so different, couldn't it? Emma Cunningham did have a chance to make it 6-0.
Yeah, I don't think Emma will mind too much so long as Barbara only wins 1 or 2, but the more dangerous thing is the momentum. She'd got her in a position where she really couldn't pot anything at all, whereas now you actually seriously think she might clear up here. That's a really good shot. Absolutely perfect position with the white. Just needs to roll this ball in on the bottom right hand side of the table. Leaves all the easy stuff to do.
And now getting plenty of support as well. Giving her supporters something to cheer.
Yeah, it's nice for the supporters. You can see there she's got a lot of her England ladies team behind her, a lot of other supporters in the crowd. They've watched her play well all week and they want to be entertained in this final as well. An unusual way of playing that shot. She was trying to screw past that yellow to leave the black into the bottom left hand corner pocket. Slightly careless, but I think she can still cut the ball in. I think she's probably going to have to go for it in the top left hand corner now.
That's more like it. Brilliant. Barbara Taylor wins her 2nd successive frame of the final. It's 5-2.
Finally, Barbara relieves some pressure, making it 2 frames in the bag. Frame 8 soon became a cagey one, and a poor shot from Taylor meant that Cunningham was once again presented with an opportunity to take the initiative. And that's exactly what she did. Some clean potting from Emma meant she was able to confidently clear the yellows, and that left her with a simple 8 ball and another important frame on the scoreboard. A good break from Barbara in frame 9 meant that she was on the front foot, and with some great long pots she cleared the yellows in style. Just the 8 ball left, but once again a misjudgment on her positional play meant she was forced to take on that near impossible shot. That left Cunningham to make her way through the reds to the 8 ball. She put it away and increased her advantage, leaving her just 1 frame away from securing the World Championship. Frame 10 was a close one, the momentum swinging between players. For Emma, being on the verge of a third world title was clearly playing on her mind, and Barbara took advantage to win another important frame. Time for a trademark Taylor charge, or was it just delaying the inevitable? We rejoin the action with Cunningham leading 7 frames to 3 and needing just one more for the title. Your commentators are Mark Shepherd and Dave Hendon.
So Barbara Taylor trying to apply a bit of pressure here and make Emma Cunningham win this World Final.
Barbara Taylor's played her best in this match when she's behind. Needs to dig really deep here for one last big push. Not a bad position. She's potted a yellow ball. I think she'll probably prefer to go for the reds here, as there isn't any easy yellow to get started with.
Red balls nominated.
Well, there's confirmation. Made a terrible start to the final, going 5-0 down, but it's not over yet.
Red balls in play.
In patches, she's played some really good stuff. It's just been the inconsistency that's cost her so far. And having been able to get through to that red, which looked quite tight, the frame has opened up nicely here. Take the 2 at the top of the table, then come down. All 3 of the ones at the bottom are in open positions. Was it not for the fact that she was several frames behind, you'd be fairly sure she'd clear up here.
Well, she's waited 5 years to reach her second World Final, and she would like to make this a lot closer.
Right now, I suspect she's thinking about respectability of the scoreline as well as actually winning the match. She'd at least like to get one more frame on the board, even if she doesn't manage to do any more. Can't ask for a better opportunity than this one.
No, and she looks happier in herself. There's just something on the table there, and she just smiled about it and got on with the job, whereas earlier on in the match, she wasn't smiling, she was grimacing.
Much more methodical pace around the table as well. When players in form tend to take the same amount of time for each shot, just get on with it. Whereas when they're struggling a bit, they start looking for difficulties. I think the black will go into the right-hand middle pocket here, although it's going to be quite tight. I think she probably can just drop this red in quite slowly. Doesn't need to do too much with the cue ball.
I'm sure she's thinking, why didn't I start like this? Because this is much more like the Barbara Taylor who's played so well throughout the championship. And it's not over yet, it's 7-4.
Another fighting frame from Barbara Taylor. Stay with us here on Sky Sports to see if she can take this World Championship final to the wire.
Emma Cunningham break. Emma leads by 7 frames, 4 frames.
Welcome back to Blackpool in the Ladies World Championship final. Let's get back to the action with your commentators Mark Shepherd and Dave Hendon.
Well, not exactly time to panic for Emma Cunningham. She leads 7-4 after all, but she was leading 7-2. Barbara Taylor's won the last 2. Was hoping to keep that momentum going here.
Cunningham's looked pretty assured all of the match, but looking a tiny bit nervous as she sits in her chair there. She'd rather Barbara Taylor didn't pot too many balls on this visit. Pretty decent position for the yellow balls. They do all go, apart from the one next to the black, which you'd have to be on in quite a specific way.
Yes, and it's not just the fact that she's now winning frames, it's how she's doing it. That last frame where she cleared up was superb.
The side of nerves there wasn't the most difficult shot. Still, it's not necessarily all over yet. She hasn't left Emma Cunningham an absolutely perfect opportunity. I think Cunningham will be mindful of wanting to win well as just winning. She was a long way up in this match and looked like it would be a good opportunity to win by a very comfortable scoreline. She doesn't want to let too many more frames go by. It's always a difficult position when your opponent only needs one frame. Barbara Taylor knows that a single mistake could be her last. And she's been pretty fortunate there. Wild lash at the ball, completely missed what she was going for, but it turned out a lot better than if she just potted it in the first place.
Yeah, that could have been the end right there, but for the fluke.
I was about to say, sometimes when you have a fluke you subconsciously feel guilty about it and struggle to clear up afterwards. Looks like she's made life more difficult than she wanted to. Somewhat rushed that, didn't end up perfectly on that yellow and thought she could play it off the black. It's a more difficult shot than you'd have thought by the speed she played it.
Yes, the bottom line is you'd rather be 7-4 up than 7-4 down. Emma Cunningham is looking really for one chance. Fortunately for her, it's got slightly messy now. The beginning of the frame, it looked like either of them could clear up in a single visit. Emma's got several balls clustered together, so don't think she's going to be able to rush things too much. And that was actually a well thought through shot. By only leaving Barbara Taylor able to see that yellow, she knew that she'd have to hit it and split the cluster up. Emma knew that not only would she be coming back to the table, but she'd have one of her difficult balls moved. It's all now about the cluster on the right hand side of the table. There's nothing she can do just yet, but at some point she's got to find some way of splitting them up. I don't think that was quite what she had in mind. Even if the ball didn't go in, she'd have rather it was a bit closer to the pocket, and she'd also rather not have left Barbara a clear shot at these yellows. And that could be a significant miss. If that ball had gone in, the balls were there for the taking.
Yes, please.
Time out.
Emma Cunningham just steadying herself as the referee fetches the rest. I think she's just gone far enough. She's trying to leave herself the red into the top right hand corner pocket. But for one moment that she might have fallen a bit short. She can see just about enough of it. That ball's no problem. The red on the top cushion's no problem. I think that goes past the yellow. The difficulty is still these four near the cue ball now. Clever shot. Not only has she potted the red, she's opened up that pocket now. If she can see enough of this red to pot it into the top left hand corner, this could all be over. Looks mighty tight though, she's very close to several balls here. You can see from the way she's aiming, she can't see enough of the ball to pot it, but she can play a telling safety. Barbara Taylor's not going to like the position she finds herself in when she comes to the table.
Total snooker.
Some laughter from the crowd as the referee confirms that it's a total snooker. That means that Barbara Taylor can't see any of the yellow ball, which excuses her from the need to hit a cushion after she's made contact with a yellow. So all she's got to do here is hit one of her own balls, although even that's not going to be straightforward. Was trying to play a shot where she played off the jaws of the corner pocket. She wanted to hit both jaws such that the white came along the cushion and hit the yellow that's in the top of the baulk cushion. Very difficult shot. One of those positions where there was very little she could do. That was about the best she could manage.
And came pretty close to getting it right as well.
So, position facing Emma Cunningham is that she's got 2 visits to clear up these 4 reds and the black for her 3rd world title.
Yeah, she was the favourite coming in, number 1 seed, but that means nothing. Ultimately, it's down to the player themselves to do the business.
There's been a lot of quality in places, and there's been a lot of scrappy exchanges in places. Don't think either player will probably feel they played their absolute best consistently through the match. So far it's been Emma Cunningham that's held herself together better. It looks like it's her that's on course for a 3rd world title.
Yeah, she's really focused in this frame. It's been quite a cagey frame, but concentration has never wavered.
Second visit.
She'd have liked to have seen that gone in. It would have been so much easier. Although this is a very simple pot, could have played an accurate positional shot. And that's not perfect. This black does pot to the right hand middle pocket, but she's gone about 6 inches further than she wanted. Now it's all about holding your head still, stroking the ball in.
Yes, this is for victory. And in it goes. It's a hat-trick of world titles for Emma Cunningham. 2005, 2011 and now 2013. World champion. Let the celebrations begin. Not the easiest final pot, but it went in, much to her delight.
Well done to Emma Cunningham on that 3rd world title, presented with the trophy by Dale Hallworth of Supreme Pool Tables. Let's hear from the champion.
Absolutely phenomenal. It's been a long time and I'm just over the moon. I can hardly move. I'm shaking so much. You need a start like that, especially when somebody as capable as Babs. Just keep doing what I was doing at the beginning. If I get the chance, then take it. I missed out by just a couple of centimetres earlier on in a couple of the frames, and my breaks weren't good, so I really had to try and just focus on potting them.
What's going through your mind on that last black?
Why did you screw back too far? Nothing like making it hard for yourself, and if I miss it, then it'll be a long way back to try and recover.
Well, once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations indeed. Emma Cunningham is once again crowned the world champion, living up to her number 1 seeding for this year's tournament. That's all for the ladies' event. Coming up next week from the World 8-Ball Pool Championships, we turn our attention to the men's team competition and semi-final 1 as the all-conquering England team take on South Africa. We'll see you then.